Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. We'll continue on this dialogue on the same subject of the peace negotiation and peace agreement which was ratified in Juba, plus the implications of the peace agreement on the two important issues of lifting Sudan's name from the American list of states sponsoring terrorism, plus the important event of normalization of relations with Israel. We want to see if there is any connection or advantage between the three issues. I'm very happy to have with me in this episode two very important persons in the peace negotiation, which culminated to a wonderful ratification of hopefully a lasting peace agreement in Juba. I'm glad to have Ustad Muhammad Bashir Amunammu. He's the assistant chairman of Sudan Liberation Movement, and Ustad Mu'tasim Adam, or Mu'tasim Ahmad Saleh Adam, the spokesperson of Justice and Equality Movement. So both of them, they played a very important role in the negotiations. So now both of them will be in a position to enlighten us and the viewers with the implications of the ratification of this agreement on the issues related to the peace. Okay, Ustad Muhammad Bashir, we'll start first by, do you think that is there any connection or any relation between the signing of the agreement, initial signing of the agreement, the final will be next month, early next month, but the initial signing of the agreement in Juba, and this was followed by the lifting Sudan's name from the American list of states sponsoring terrorism. Do you think that this has any effect on that, or even as the byproduct of the peace? Because what happened, it's historic, and what decided the executive order of President Trump of lifting Sudan of this blacklist, they were almost at the same time. So do you think there is any relation between the two?
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Abu Haras. Thank you also to the Sudan TV and its viewers and listeners. And yeah, the peace agreement, the signing of peace agreement created a very different political environment in the country. And after the success of the revolution, there is things. There is very important things left for the country to move forward, and that is to for such a country to be stable and to be able to integrate into the international community in the achievement of peace. So that was luckily done in Juba, and of course after that, any reluctance from the international community to deal with Sudan is no longer valid now, and this have paved the way for the country to deal, for the current government to negotiate smoothly with the international community, and particularly in the U.S. Government, so as to reach to the position where we are now.
Okay, that's very good. So I agree with you that there is some relation or correlation between the two. Once you achieve the peace, this is something encouraging others to lift any bans, any sort of sanctions against Sudan, because Sudan started to solve its problem from within. Okay, that's very good. Okay, Ustad Mu'tasim Ahmad Saleh Adam, or Mu'tasim Adam, let us say Mu'tasim Ahmad Adam, is the spokesperson for the Justice and Equality Movement, which is one of the major movements in the SRF, Sudan Revolutionary Front. Ustad Mu'tasim, according to the matrix or matrices of the agreement, and according to the modalities and different parts, what do you think, what are the priorities of implementation of the what you was drafted and signed in Juba? Definitely there are certain priorities. Do you think it is the rehabilitation of the IDPs, the internally displaced persons, or repatriation, or the involvement in the government, the governing system, so that it can help? What are the priorities?
First of all, thank you, Engineer Al-Bakr Abu Haraz, for having us, and thank you for your viewers and listeners and all Sudan TV viewers. I think there is a lot of things that are very important to implement the peace agreement. First of all, the most important thing is to create the implementations mechanism to implement peace agreement. And there are so many mechanisms that unless we create them, we cannot begin implementing the peace agreement. One of these important mechanisms is mechanism for monitoring and assessment of the peace agreement. This is very important one. Other one also is the Darfur Peace Support and Development, Sustainable Development Fund. These two mechanisms are very important because the first mechanism is monitoring and assessing the implementation of the peace agreement, and the other one also very important because all money and resources allocated for implementing the peace agreement have or has to be deposited into that fund. Therefore, I think these two mechanisms are very important. And I think that even the international community, if I go back to the question that you referred to, Ustaz Mohammed Bashir, lifting sanction and the relation between that and the peace agreement, I think implementation of peace agreement is very important and needs the intervene and support of the international community. If we take the sanction in consideration, there will be difficulties for the international community to support Sudan, to send funds, because there is a lot of implications between the sanctions on Sudan and international financial institutions and money transactions and so forth. So to facilitate implementing the peace agreement, the United States government realized that there is necessity to lift Sudan from the list of state sponsoring terror, as well as the list of its own sanctions. And also, I think the United States also trying kind of to wear Sudan of reaching the peace charter or peace agreement.
Oh, that's very good. So there is a connection actually, yes. Because this is at least when we come to the implementation, if the donors or the partners of Sudan, if they want to help, they cannot help at the wrong time, which is the wrong when there is war and people are not agreeing on the peace agreement. So I agree with both of you that this is very conducive to implementation of the all protocols of the agreement.
But in following up for the question also, I think beside the creation of the implementation mechanism, there are many things that could be done first and then others can come after. Even the creations of the commissions and mechanism, there are priorities. For instance, the internally displaced persons commissions and land and Hawakir commissions and other commissions have to be in place before we start implementing or start getting the IDPs back to their homes and properties. So you need to find or to found the mechanism first, and then you start implement the peace agreement. All the implementations, there are a lot of mechanisms, and unless we have this mechanism in place, we cannot start or begin implementing the peace agreement itself.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why one of the priorities, which is important, which leading to this, what you are saying here, is that your participation in the governance. It's a very important role. Unless you are part of the government, the system, you are inside the system, you cannot draw these plans and you cannot put them it in implication. So, Ustaz Mohammed Bashir Abu Nammu, President Burhan and Prime Minister Hamdok they always repeatedly say the peace agreement which was signed will be helpful, and we have to pick that event of this ratification because it will in a way help in delivering Sudan from its imminent economic collapse. Now Sudan is economy is deteriorating. So they repeatedly called today that we have to pick this opportunity of the signature of the peace agreement as one body. Now we are one body. See, this will be helpful to lifting Sudan or delivering Sudan from the its crisis and the economic crisis. Do you think this is correct, that it will helpful that we have to pick this chance and to feed it in the system of delivering the economic situation of Sudan?
Yes, I agree that the cost of the peace is high, definitely. But as I said earlier, signing of agreement will create very positive and conducive environment. And this will lead the country to divert its earlier budgets that used to be used for security purposes. It could be diverted to development of the country, and also due to the countries now can be able to integrate with the international community. This means that the inflow of foreign investment and capital will be there as well. And all these things, it's true that there is a high cost of the peace, but also the option that created by signing the agreement was also of very high return. So there should be a kind of adjusting between this and that, and definitely the peace benefits will be overweighting the cost of implementing the peace, and definitely there will be opportunity for the country to use all these factors so as to go ahead.
So do you think that is now as you know, the peace agreement will start at the at time when people are resenting and people are suffering from, especially in Khartoum, from the long lines of petrol and bread, and so they are already in trouble. So how can you address these people to appease them that by the peace agreement, most of the, because the peace agreement in a way it led to the lifting of Sudan from the state of state sponsoring terrorism, which is in a way helpful that money will come. So when money comes, it has to go to the priorities of the peace agreement. So how can maybe both of you can answer this question? How can this affect the ordinary people not in the affected areas? Because people in the affected areas will definitely, if any money comes as the result of the peace agreement, it has to go to the areas affected, especially in Darfur and the IDPs. Most of them are from Darfur, so all money has to go. But what about the others who are suffering and resenting from the economic problems?
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, that the signing of peace agreement by itself is it gave a good opportunity for the country as a whole to be ready and to be ready so as to resolve the issues. And when the signatories come and join the new government, as you said before, definitely they will join the efforts so as to deal with the economic crisis and all the other crises. And as I said also, the signing of agreement itself, we created, as my friend said, we created a lot of mechanisms that to be used to implement the agreement in all of its sectors. And these mechanisms, it needs finance to implement the agreement. So these finance, as I said before, there is internally we can provide finance by, as I told you, by diverting some budgets previously used for war and all that. And in addition, we're also expecting international, as I told you, we're expecting international capital inflow and investment, and also there is donors conference is also to be held after we join the government, and all these will create opportunities to have additional funds so as to resolve the internal issues of the suffering of the people, as well as to have also additional funds to implement the peace for those who suffer from the war, and to rebuild what the war have done as a harm to the areas of the war.
Okay. Ustad Mu'tasim, what do you think? We heard Ustad Mohammed Bashir, and I asked him actually about the effect of the bad economic situation these days in Sudan, the whole Sudan. To what extent it will impede, to what extent it will impede the process of implementation of the protocols, especially regarding the rehabilitation of the refugees and IDPs. To what extent will this be a hurdle, or might create a disappointment among those who you are representing? You are not by themselves, you are representing thousands or millions of people waiting for this moment so that they can go back. But this is at cost, it will have a cost. Money, Sudan is short of money these days. How can you bridge this gap?
Yeah, actually, Sudan economy these days is in very bad situation, and I think peace itself is going to generate a lot of support to Sudan. We know that the government of Sudan pledged to pay $750 million annually to support the peace implementation mechanism, and I think we know that a big portion of the Sudan budget goes to security sectors and security arrangements and so forth. This amount now could be direct to other infrastructures and services, and that could reflect positively in the life of the people of Sudan. Also, we have to take in consideration that many countries and the international community, if you can remember the Sudan Friends Conference that took place in Berlin, in Germany, many countries pledged to support the peace implementation, and many countries also pledged directly to support the peace implementation financially. So we expect that money will come to Sudan because of the promise of the international community, and because also of Sudan lifting from list of state-sponsored terrorism, and also from the United States sanction. By lifting these sanctions, many investors can come to Sudan and invest, and also we have an opportunity to have foreign loans and investments, and we will go also back to the international institutional financial institutions and banking systems, and all these together can lead to flow of cash and international banking transactions between Sudan and the world, and this by itself will generate a lot of benefit. And also we have to take in consideration that by lifting sanctions from Sudan, exchange of technology between Sudan and those countries and the world will also take place. So we can take this opportunity to improve our production sectors like agriculture, industry, and livestock, and mineral, and so forth. By investing in these things, we can lift up our economic in a very short period of time to cover the peace cost, as well to improve the life of the people on a daily basis. Now we know that by lifting this sanction, also the flow of cash, when it comes, we will have a lot of foreign currency in Sudan Central Bank, and this could be used to import that important things that can lead to reduce the cost of a lot of goods and stuff in the country. So I think people shouldn't have feel afraid that the peace cost will be burden on the ordinary Sudanese people, because peace itself will have its own money and support and assistance from the international community, and also from the investment that will be taken place due to the lifting of sanctions from Sudan and due to the normalization of Sudan relation with the world, because the financial relation between Sudan and the world is being cut or stopped because of the United States sanctions, and many countries and big factories and companies cannot deal with Sudan because they know that the burden of the United States sanction could be on them. Therefore, people have to feel happy and to feel that the economy will be improved and in very short period of time. And also those who are in the affected war areas also have to feel happy that this peace agreement will be fully implemented because of the international support and because of the will of the people of Sudan, as well of the will of the Sudanese transitional government. All these people are willing and supporting the implementation of this peace agreement, and this will definitely reflect positively in our life.
Okay, that's very, very good. I think this so people should be optimistic that things will improve, will go to the better definitely, and that people who are outside of the affected areas will not have deep more problems because of the peace agreement, because this has its own funds and this has its own funds. Yes. Most of the funds of this peace agreement, the starting point will be the saving of a stoppage of war. So any amount on this direction, if directed to peace, this will help and give you the time until we receive the fund. Okay, that is good, and I agree. Okay, Ustad Muhammad Bashir Abu Nammu, this is a very important question, and we have to be very frank about it, about the protocol of the security arrangement. Security arrangement which involves the DDR, demobilization, disarmament, and reintegration of the troops. Both of you have troops on the ground, and thousands of them, they have to be integrated in a way in the national army, which people think it might create a problem because there are some differences in the steps stipulated by the national or in the constitutional document, that literacy and illiteracy, this problem, how can we solve this problem? If you stick by the to the document, all who will be integrated in the army, the national army, they have to be literate, and they have to have a degree of literacy that they write and speak. And in your case, some of your troops are not qualified to this. Do you think that is a problem, a big problem, or it can be resolved?
No, I don't think there will be any problem because, you know, and I even don't think there will be any harm to the military structure because, you know, in this, in the agreement and particularly in the protocol of security arrangement, there is a clear statement of criteria for those who are fit, definitely will going to join the military, and those who are not fit, the DDR will take care of them. So things are very clear, and we put very, very clear criteria for that. As far as anybody from our forces who qualify for those criteria, definitely will go to join the military, and that will do no harm to the structure of the military because things are very defined in the agreement. Those who are not fit for any reason, the DDR will take care of them.
But why Ustad Muhammad Bashir, why this 40 months or so, I think, for the DDR? Why did you agree, or they agree to what is it a complicated process? Why 40 months? I think they put for the DDR process about 39 or 30 months, almost 3 years, till end of the transitional period. Why is that period long?
Yeah, you know, the military arrangements file is very complicated because it has phases to be implemented, one after the other. You know, it has so many phases. From the start, they have to have, first of all, to be assembled in certain areas, and then to be joined and integrated, and then at the end of the process, people have to be sorted so as to those who are going to join the military will going to join, and those who are not qualified will go to the DDR, and this long process, it has to be there because things has to be taken into phases.
The same question.
Yeah.
I think it seems that you have another answer to this. Why this long?
Yeah, it's not another answer, but I just want to expand the answer. First of all, due to the security arrangement, I think there is a lot of misunderstanding for the public and for the people about the security arrangement provisions. First of all, there is no standards for the normal military personnel, the soldiers. The standards of literacy and writing and reading is only for commanders and generals, not for the
rank and file.
So all commanders and generals have to read and write. But for the normal soldiers, that are not included in this criteria. So when people say that people have not shouldn't know how to read or write, that does not apply to all all of the integrated forces. So that's first of all, because to say that all generals and commanders have to know how to read and write, that applies to them only. Then you have the other sector of the forces, the normal soldiers. You don't have to have that people understand reading or know how to write or read, because these are normal soldiers. But for the 40 months of the security arrangement, this is the total period of time that the integrated forces remain in Darfur. It's not the process of integration.
Okay.
So after the soldiers or the forces being integrated into the Sudanese armed forces, the time that these integrated forces remain is to remain in Darfur for 40 months for security keeping and saving, and to be part of the joint integrated forces between government of Sudan and armed movement forces to keep peace and keep security in Darfur, because we know that there is a problem of security in Darfur these days. And after the integration of these forces into the Sudanese armed forces, we use these integrated forces to protect civilians and to keep peace and to keep security. The remain of these forces in Darfur is for 40 months after they fully integrated into the Sudanese armed forces. So the idea of that forces being in the integration process for 40 months is incorrect. The correct is the period of remaining of these forces in Darfur for 40 months for the mentioned purposes that I said.
This is very important. By the way, many people are confused. I myself, I was under the impression that the whole process, it takes 40 months. No, okay, now it is very clear to me. It might take, let's say, 1 month, 2 months.
Yeah, there are several phases. First of all, to bring all these forces in specific centers, it takes 3 months. That's 90 days from the peace signing date. And then you have the integration process is 6 months. Training and integration process and so forth. And then after that, these forces will be integrated fully into the Sudanese armed forces. And the remainder of the period of the 40 months will be deducted from that number of time and months, and then you will have 40 months. You have about 30 months integrated forces work together to keep peace and security, and then just only the 10 months or 12 months is for the integration process and for the DDR. We know that those who are not qualified and not fit the standards of the Sudanese armed forces will be reintegrated into the society and community, and they will have another job. And then those who are completely qualified to join the military will be integrated into the Sudanese armed forces and will be part of the forces that keep peace and security in Darfur for 40 months from the date of signing the peace agreement.
This makes all the difference, by the way. So we have to stress, emphasize that when people talk about the 40 months, this means this provision for these troops which will be integrated. They have to stay. It's only fair. They have to stay for 40 months till from the start of the integration process to the end. So it might take, the actual process might take, let us say, 2, 3, 5, 6 months.
Yes.
The remaining is the provision for these integrate people, these troops, to stay in their areas where they used to be. It's only fair. I think this is clear now. To me, it's clear, and I hope it is also clear to the viewers, because this is one of the areas. And also, both of you will confirm that those who are not fit and not qualified, they will go to other
DDR,
the DDR, either civil service or to other areas. This is very clear. And you also insisted that the commander, the chief, but the rank and file, but commander definitely they are literate. They know right and wrong. This is good. This is very clear. This is a very important issue. Now it's clear. Okay, if we go back to Mohammed Bashir ونمو, Ustad Mohammed Bashir ونمو, he's the Sudan Liberation Movement chairman assistant.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of the movements for the first time we have you here. I think you all agree with me that the hostage regime played a very bad role in sponsoring terrorism, and even in the bombing of the two embassies in Dar es Salaam and Nairobi, and the destroyer Cole, which led America to put Sudan in this list and to put sanctions, more economic sanctions. So you agree that the hostage regime, that is why you were against the hostage regime, because it took Sudan to this bad situation of isolation of the international community, which led to the inherited deterioration in the economy. So can you elaborate on this issue, that the hostage regime, by sponsoring terrorism, by fundamentalist groups brought to Sudan, so they drove Sudan to this corner of isolation, which also added insult to injury, as they say, when they, in Darfur, they committed crimes against humanity, systematic killing on this. So can you, Ahmed Bashir, elaborate on this as one of the persons who suffered a lot?
Yeah, it's true that the Sudan, I mean, the hostage government had, committed a big and very serious crime for the country as a whole, and this, it has, the consequences which are now suffering of. And the most of the serious consequences were not suffering is not what's now going on as the efforts by the current government so as to negotiate with the U.S. government so as to free the country from what was known as the sponsoring of international terrorism. And this, as you see, this has had a very high cost. As you know, they have now paid over $400 million so as to free the country from that state, and that was due to the hostage government have harbored the well-known terrorism, international terrorists, just like Osama bin Laden, as Carlos, and the rest, and even they cross the borders so as to commit crimes. As you know, they are now, we are as a country, we're accused to carry out terrorist activities even in the neighboring countries. This is what happened in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. That's well known, and this is one of the issues that linked to the issues now. The current government is negotiating to free the country, as well as also what they call they also the bomb, what they call it,
U.S. Embassy.
U.S. Embassy. And all this has its high cost, and now we're severing of that. And we are now we're hoping these difficulties will be over, but it should be, I mean, it will be over after we paid a very high cost. But we have to do that because it is a country, and even though we didn't commit these crimes, but as a whole, at the end of the day, it is our country, and we have to be responsible for that. But so it is very unfortunate, but that's the case. But yeah, that's
Now
the case.
things is now in a better position, definitely. Okay, one important issue which also related. Maybe it could be related. Maybe it will be positive. People there is controversy in the political arena about the normalization of relations with Israel. Sudan already went all the way to the process of normalization of the process. Whatever we try to say anything about it, but it's still. Ustad Mu'tasim, I will ask you, and we'll also the same question will go to Ustad Muhammad Bashir Abu Dammu. What do you think of this normalization process? The way it was done, it is in a way linked to the lifting of the name of Sudan. Anyhow, it's something creating now controversy in the political arena. What is your own point of view of this normalization with Israel?
Yeah, first of all, let me just try to readdress the first issue that you directed to my friends Muhammad Bashir Abu Dammu.
Yes, okay.
Yes, nobody doubt that the former regime behavior was very bad and affected the Sudanese relation with the international community. And the former regime was part of the terrorism network. And the behavior of the government, the former regime, I mean, affected the United States' interest in several parts of the world. That's why there's sanction on the Sudan in many levels. But I also think that this government, our current government, shouldn't be responsible of the former regime behaviors and crimes that the government involved in. We shouldn't have been responsible of the crimes of the former regime of Sudan. Lifting Sudan from the list of state sponsoring terrorism and also the economic sanction on Sudan shouldn't have any kind of relation with the former regime because we know that the former government, its relation with the terrorism network, its behavior in harming the interests of the United States played a big role in putting Sudan under United States sanction. But also to lift this sanction from Sudan, the current regime is a different regime. This government is totally different. It is people of Sudan revolution government, and paying the cost of the damage that the former government played role in should be directly to them because they have money. All the members of the former regime have money in different banks, and they should go directly and hold them accountable, not the people of Sudan. We shouldn't have paid all this amount of money, $335 million is a lot of money, and we need it badly, especially in this time of age. Our economy is almost collapsed, and people are suffering, getting fuels, getting food, and getting many things. And to build our economy, we need money. We need that $335 million to move and rebuild our economy rather than to pay it for the former regime crimes. So it should go in different tracks. But however, we welcome, and all Sudanese people must welcome the lifting Sudan from the United States sanction or list of state sponsoring terror. On other hands, when we come to normalization of the Sudanese relation with Israel, I think the foreign policy of Sudan should be based on the interests of the Sudanese people and interests of Sudan country, not based on anything else. So if we find, and also we know that there is a strong relation between foreign policies and economic policies. In this time of age, you cannot have foreign relations in a very good way with, and have economic policies going parallelly without having kind of link between the economic policies and foreign policies. So the normalization with Israel or with any other country, it should be based on our interest, our people interest, and our country interest, and not anything else. So in that regard, we fully support any kind of relation that serve the interests of the people of Sudan and the and Sudan state rather than anything else. If we don't have any interest in such a kind of relation, we shouldn't have that relation in the very beginning. And I think that's my answer for that question.
Okay, that's very good. I agree. Okay, Ustaz Ahmed.
Yeah, I also say what my friend said is that so in order to have, I mean, naturally, so any diplomatic relation with any country, it has to be governed by bilateral interest.
Yes.
So in the case of Israel, we never tested the bilateral interest between Israel and Sudan at all.
Yeah.
But we're having that historical, position against Israel, just to save our friends,
Yeah.
no more. So Israel never showed any intention of occupying our country, not at all. But I just, I attended lately a briefing by General Burhan, the head of the Supreme Council, and he said that he gave a very, very valid argument. He said that we are having now good relations with countries who are actually occupying our lands.
Yeah.
But even though Israel never occupied our land or never showed any intention of occupying our lands, but even though we're having a hostile position against it. So this means that it is high time for us so as to test so as to build our relations, diplomatic relations with any country, including Israel itself, by testing the bilateral interest between the two countries. So when we do that, definitely we will not have any hostile. We should not have any hostile attitude towards Israel, because it never showed any aggressive, opposition against us. And then it is also it has to be said that Israel as a country, and nobody can ignore the position and the role of Israel in this region. So Israel is very, very advanced in so many fields like agriculture, water, harvesting, and all that. And we in Sudan, we have, if we had a relation with the state of Israel, definitely we will benefit a lot out of it.
Yeah, that's very clear. Yes, I think it's a very good answer, a very valid answer, and I agree. We have to try to come out of the isolation, and I think Sudan will benefit. Because as the English they say, it can only get better. Whatever you do, it can only get better.
Yeah.
Because you almost reach the bottom, so it can only get better. So, Ustad Mu'tasib, will you do you agree with what Ustad Muhammad Bashir said? He said it will be. Let us try. We have to be pragmatic, and to put the interest of the country on top of everything.
Yes,
We don't have to be emotional.
That's what I said from the very beginning, that our relation should be based on our interest and our country's interest rather than anything else. So what Mr. Bashir said, it does not go out of what I have said before, which is our interest should lead our foreign policies, not anything else. In that regard, any kind of interest or any kind of relation serve our relation or serve our interest of the interest of our people, we should appreciate it and we should support it fully. And if this kind of relation or anything related to this new relation does not serve our national interest, we shouldn't have supported or accepted. And this is supposed to be the foreign policy of Sudan from the very beginning, not just now. This is correction for our foreign policies. But the foreign policies from very beginning, decades back, it should be based on our national interest. I don't know if the last period of time or several decades that passed in our history, if we really look to our foreign relation from the angle of our national interest, not from angle of anything else, I see many people are opposing this step. However, these people have to answer this question: where is our national interest? Is your position conform with our national interest or not? Is this step that been taken by the current our current government serve our national interest? I think in many ways you find that there is a lot of interest for our country, for our people, from this new foreign policy, and that also not isolated from lifting Sudan from state sponsoring terrorism, because these are packaged. In this age of time, you cannot have relation, one-way relation, just you got your interest and the other part has not. This mutual relation. Wherever you think you have an interest in it and serve your national interest, it should serve the national interest of the other party. If that party does not see any kind of interest for it, then that party will not go with you in that relation or any kind of such steps that will be taken. So there is a strong relation between our foreign policy and our national interest and our economic policies. And for that reason, I think what this government has done is completely match with our interest and with our national interest in general, and it will also serve our economic policies. It will lead to improve of our economy. That's no doubt about that, and we can address that later on.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, we move to a subject which is related also, because it's a very important, the visit of President the Supreme Council Burhan, General Burhan, to Cairo last week for a few hours, and definitely it has some connected to the normalization process. It has to be a coordination between Egypt and Sudan about the GERD, the Renaissance Dam. But the most important is the normalization process, because Egypt already started well before Sudan. Can you give us your opinion, Ustaz Mohammed Bashir?
Yeah, definitely. Egypt, Egypt is a neighboring country and very close to us culturally as well as socially, and we have a long history dealing with Egypt. There is no doubt, and there is nothing strange to have our president to visit Egypt. As you said, it is true. Most probably he was there to also to manage the same file of normalization of relation with Israel, because as you said, Egypt has long experience about this issue. It is the country who fought Israel for a long time, and ultimately they came to good terms and signed agreement. That's okay. Our president visit to Egypt, one expect that he's going to promote the bilateral relations this phase, and then also to have the Egyptians' viewpoints regarding the normalization of relation with Israel, because Egyptians have very long and long experience about that. But all in all, as I said before, that we have a good relation with Egypt, is true, but we have still also some issues pending between us and Egypt, and definitely now we are now entering a new era of democratic periods ahead. I think until that time, people have to think practically and deal with the Egyptian government so as to resolve the pending issue between us, particularly the occupied part of our country.
Very good. That's very good. Okay, we go back to on the same issue to our friend Muhtasim Ahmed Saleh, who is the spokesperson for Justice and Equality, which is a big faction of the SRF. What is your comment on the visit of President Burhan to Egypt last week? and definitely it had relation with the normalization with Israel. Is this something good? Is this conducive to what we are trying to do, achieving peace and delivering country from the economic situation? Can you give us your comment on
Yeah,
that?
I think there's no doubt that there's correlation between the visit of President of Sovereign Council, Mr. General Burhan, to Egypt, and the other steps that the government has taken, normalization with Israel, lifting Sudan from state sponsor of terrorism, and so forth. We know that Egypt is a very important country in the region, and also has a very good foreign relation with Israel, with the United States, and with the other political political players in the region. I think also we cannot isolate the Renaissance dump out of this visit. I think this visit aimed to coordinate positions between Sudan and Egypt and other neighboring countries, and also to enlighten the Egyptian government about the steps that Sudan has taken recently in regard of the normalization and the lifting of Sudan from the state sponsor of terrorism countries and states. And I think coordination of the relation between Sudan and Egypt is very important. There are many other factors in the region. If you look to the situation in Egypt, the situation in Arab countries, all these political process that taking place in Yemen, in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, and so forth, and also Sudan, neighboring countries. All these things are correlated together, and I think the coordination between our country or our government and Egypt is very important and vital in this regard.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. To both of you, I'm very happy that we have you in this issue, and we talked about the visit. One important thing is that also I think it's very important, a good gesture from President Burhan of visiting Maulana Muhammad Osman al-Marghani. Although the visit was very short, but it is symbolic. It sent many messages, but next time maybe in other episodes we'll cover this, because Maulana had good relations and he's a wise man, but it's good, that's a good gesture that he visited him in his residence. Later maybe we'll talk about it. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last 50 or 60 minutes. We hope to see you next week on another issue of Dialogue Horizon. Thank you and bye.